There are wounds that never show on the body that are deeper and more hurtful than anything that bleeds. There's often a stigma behind childhood trauma. Untreated childhood trauma often leads to destructive coping mechanisms as adults, and adults tend to develop unhealthy self-images and abilities to attach self to others in healthy ways. I was labeled an at-risk youth from the age of 6. I experienced patterns of uncertainty and instability that caused not only cognitive dissonance and problems with emotional self-regulation and relationship formation. I suppressed my traumas for many years until all the pain surfaced as an adult after noticing my inability to connect to myself and others in healthy ways. So today I'd like to discuss 3 topics in which childhood trauma affects adults and the long-term effects. With a little insight and to take an introspective approach to learn and then implement change to have happy and healthy relationships with ourselves and others as adults. So just a preview of what I'm going to discuss. I'm going to discuss the false self. I'm going to discuss victim thinking, and then I'm going to discuss passivity. So while there are many impacts of childhood emotional trauma, Hill will look at specifically the 3 childhood traumas that really affect adults to the core. Okay, so the first one we're going to discuss, it's the false self. So you want to ask yourself, how is the false self created as a result of childhood trauma? Children create a false self because they do not have enough emotional and social support to become emotionally and psychologically separated from parents. This adapted self can be often deflating and codependent, or inflating and counterdependent. It just depends on how you interpret trauma.
9, 10,
One way these traumas
11, 12.
reveal themselves is through the creation of the false self. As children, we want our parents to love us and take care of us. When our parents do this, we try to become the kind of child we think their parents would love. We bury our feelings, we suppress who we are, we live our lives terrified we'll no longer be cared of if we express our needs. Next, I want to discuss identifying the second childhood trauma, which is victimhood thinking.
41, 42.
Having a victimhood mentality means you blame challenges in life on others around you, even if you can't prove their negative actions. You might also blame many things on circumstances which you see are unfair.
55,
What we think and believe about ourselves drives our self-talk, and this self-talk can empower or disempower us. Even in circumstances where we think we don't have a choice, we always have a choice, and we must keep that in mind. Even if it's just the power to choose how we think about our life, it's our perception. Finally, the third key element to understanding the effects of childhood trauma would be because of our people-pleasing mentality, we become extremely passive. Passivity as a survivor of childhood. So now that we know how to identify the 3 main impacts that childhood trauma has on our adulthood, in conclusion, I want us all to understand that when we suppress our feelings and bury who we are, we're suppressing our traumas and we're suppressing parts of ourselves. At the time, that may have helped us, but as adults, we need our feelings to tell us who we are and what we want to be, and to guide us towards becoming the people we strive to become. By educating ourselves and taking an introspective approach to life, we are better equipped to deal with our emotional traumas. Understanding the importance of your mental health and well-being paves the way for deeper, more meaningful connections. Therapy is also a resource we should always utilize. Being able to have open and honest, unbiased dialogue from an experienced therapist can tremendously help your healing process. This will not only help how you relate and attach to others, but how you relate and care for yourself.